Hey folks, Gary here. Happy Wednesday morning to you. So, hope you're having a really good Wednesday. We've been looking at significant prayers in Scripture, and today we're going to look at a prayer prayed by David. Now, David would pray great prayers. Now, how many of you know that you have emotions? We all have emotions, right? We're emotional beings. God has given us emotions, but those emotions they're not meant just to go wild. We're not supposed to just give in to them. And one of those emotions is anger. Now, how many of you have ever been angry? You've all been angry at one point in time. The thing about anger is this: your anger may be very valid. If someone's really hurt you, that's a valid anger for sure. If you see an injustice in the world, that's a valid anger. But what do you do with it? If you just simply act upon it, you're probably going to end up sinning. You're probably going to let that anger control you, and that is not at all what God has intended for that emotion. You are to control it. It's supposed to be yours to subdue it. It's supposed to be controlled by you, and you give it over to God. And when we read Scripture, we're going to read Psalm 4, and it's David praying a prayer about his anger. What do you do with this? Because, like I said before, if you leave it uncontrolled, it will consume you. That'll be the problem. So, Psalm 4, verses 1 to 3. That's what we're going to look at. So let's see what David does. So David's prayer. Verse 1. Answer me when I call to you. O God, who declares me innocent, free me from my troubles. Have mercy on me and hear my prayers. So the first thing he's saying is, Lord, I'm in trouble. Will you help me out? Will you free me from this? Will you forgive me for this? David was a man after God's own heart, but he would blow it. He would do things he shouldn't do, and he would ask God to forgive. He wouldn't let it stay there. That was the big difference. He would ask God to forgive and make it right. But then he continues on. How long will you people ruin my reputation? You hear the anger in there. How long will you ruin my reputation? How long will you make groundless accusations? How long will you continue to continue your lies? There's anger in that. How many of you have had people talk about you? Oh yeah, if you're a pastor, man, people are going to talk about you. If you're in ministry, people are going to talk about you. If you just live a life, people are going to talk about you. And you go, it's not true. Stop saying lies about me. There's an anger in that. Verse 3, you can be sure of this. The Lord set apart the godly for himself. The Lord will answer when I call to him. So he starts saying, I'm going to call to God. Verse 4, don't sin by letting your anger control you. Think about it overnight and remain silent. Offer sacrifices in the right spirit and trust the Lord. This is what he gets to. It's like, I am so angry about what people have said. I'm so angry about what people have done, but I'm not going to let it control me. Instead, I'm going to seek Jesus. I'm going to ponder this, but I'm going to remain silent about it. I'm not going to act upon it. I'm going to give it to God. Obviously, David wouldn't say, I'm going to seek Jesus. I'm going to seek the Lord. But he's saying, I'm seeking God in this. I'm going to give it to him. I will offer sacrifices to God, but in the right spirit, not in my anger, but in my love for him. I'll offer sacrifices to him, and I will trust him to work these things out. And in verse 8, it says, in peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, O Lord, will keep me safe. In other words, when I give it to God, when I give all that over to God, I'm not letting it consume me anymore. And now I'm just going to rest in peace, knowing that God's going to take care of it. And I'm going to sleep like a baby. I'm not going to let it ruin my life. And so, great prayer. When you are angry about something, give it to God. Talk to your Father in heaven about it. Say, I can't believe they did this or whatever. But talk to God about that. And then give it to him. And let the peace of God come over you. So that what has happened there is not going to determine the rest of your life by what you do in response to it. Instead, leave it there. Give it to God and rest in his peace. So that's your message for Wednesday. No, I want to make this clear. It doesn't mean your anger is not valid. It very much could be. But don't let it ruin you. Give it to God. Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.